right, welcome back. This is Jeff Heggie. Appreciate you being with us again. I'm with Moorea Long today, and I'm excited to be here with her. We go way back. We actually virtually met each other last week, and we were both involved in a similar conference call that was talking about athletics and spirituality. And when I was looking at her bio, I thought, I need to talk to this lady. And so thank you for being with us. Just give you a brief history, and then I'll let her tell a little more. She's had a history in sports. She's a two-sport athlete. She was a competitive figure skater. She's a high jumper, and she's competing for Baylor University right now in your freshman year. Is that correct? Actually, not freshman, sorry, junior year.
Yeah, so it would be my junior year athletically, and then it's going to be my senior year here at school, which is sad, but yes, okay. Junior year with athletics.
Awesome. Well, give us a little bit more background on yourself, where you're from and how you ended up at Waco and all that stuff.
Of course. So I am from Kansas City, or a small town just south of Kansas City. And I chose Baylor because I went on different visits. I took visits to Oklahoma State, and Baylor. And Baylor it sounds so cliche, but it just felt like home, which I know everybody says that, but like truly that was the feeling. And I got here and the coach was so sweet, so sweet. And my athletic hosts on my visit were also incredible. So they were some of the upperclassmen on the team, and they were just so welcoming, and they just opened me with welcome arms. And it wasn't like she's a high schooler, like she's just here on a visit. It was like she's one of us already, and I just felt so at home. The campus is beautiful, and we were visiting in November, and we were wearing flip-flops in November. So the fact that we could wear flip-flops in November is a bonus, just showing how warm Texas is, because we could not do that in Kansas City. And so Baylor was just incredible, and I had reached out to the coach actually because I had never thought high jump, like I had never really processed doing this at the next level. Like that was never really my exact plan for life. It had always been a goal to do that, but I didn't know if it was necessarily realistic. But I was like, hey, shoot for the moon, right? And so one of my coaches in middle school actually told me to write down your goals and look at them every single day. And so I didn't know where exactly to do that, because I can't draw. And so my goal board wasn't very cute. And so I had it in the inside of my bathroom cabinet. So that way each day, I'd go to like get any product out and I'd see my goals. And so he told me to do short term and like medium term and long-term goals. And my short term, I think I did this back freshman year of high school. And then once I didn't really make them, I didn't really shoot for the moon on some of those ones. So I had to remake my goal sheet and my sophomore year. And so it had, my short term was like go to state all 4 years. And my medium term was like jump 5-6 consistently. And then my long term was to go to college. I actually said I wanted to go to Mizzou and be on the track team there at Mizzou. And so I never really thought that I'd actually go to Mizzou or go to college and high jump. And then all of a sudden coaches started calling me my junior and senior year. And I remember the first one was the MIT coach, and he was calling me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I never really thought about doing track at the next level, because I'd grown up a competitive figure skater, and that was my life. And so track was kind of a side gig for a little bit. And then I started to really get into track my junior year, and that's when coaches started calling, and it was crazy. And I was talking to different coaches, and then all of a sudden Baylor, I was thinking of Baylor because I kind of wanted to be in the Big 12, just because my parents were both Mizzou grads. So they were Mizzou grads when Mizzou was in the Big 12. And I just kind of grew up knowing these teams. I was a little bit more familiar, and I just thought that'd be a lot of fun. And then, I don't know, I took a visit to Baylor, and here I am. It felt right, because the Mizzou coach had called me the week of my Baylor visit. So I had already visited Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. And then he calls me later that week, but the next weekend I have a visit to Baylor. And he calls me, and I was just like, I was already kind of set on, I was really excited about visiting Baylor because I was like, it just seems like an awesome place. And so, my goal of going to Mizzou and doing track, I think he was a fantastic coach, very nice guy, has very, very talented athletes. But when I had a visit to Baylor already scheduled, I was really excited, and I got here and it felt like home. So sorry, that was the long story.
That's great. Thank you. So where I want to go with this conversation is, in a lot of areas with my entrepreneur clients, with my athletic clients, all of those things, we talk a lot about mindset. We talk about how to get to the next level, all those things. And so the fact that you were able to get to that level and now you're competing at that level, those are some of the things I want to kind of dig into. So I love where you've already gone, because you've already answered some of my questions about goal setting and those sort of things, because it's something that I teach a lot, is the importance of goal setting and the small habits of, one of the things that I teach my clients is you've just got to write down your goals every day and keep those in the forefront of your mind. And you were reading your goals every day. So I love that. So let's talk about even right now, and you can go about this as either how you got to the level you're at, or even where you're at now, competing at that level. How important is it to keep those goals in the forefront of your mind and understanding your purpose or your why behind each of those goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually had my freshman year. So I just got into Baylor, and I went through our first semester of classes, and then we had a team bonding sleepover, like the women's team. We had a sleepover at the track. It was a lot of fun. So we did a bunch of games and team bonding. And one of the things was writing our goals down for the upcoming season. And I was a freshman, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm, from small town Kansas, and now I'm competing in the Big 12, competition. I didn't know what to expect. And so I didn't quite know what exactly to put on my goal sheet. So my freshman year, I kind of made it a little bit more of, keep a good attitude. And, it's just things that I knew that if I focused on, the results would come later, rather than, I found with myself, at least, that if I make a goal of something so specific, like jump this height, I'm going to just freak myself out about it, honestly. So I've discovered that focusing on the things that I can do to get to that is a lot more helpful. I, in fact, have a goal. I just moved in here, so it's not even, it's not that well put together. You know what? It actually hasn't fallen apart. So here it says, I don't know if it's backwards on your camera, but
no, it's good.
Okay, perfect. So this fast feet is something that I got to focus on when I'm jumping, actually. So I actually keep that right there, 2021 goals. And so fast feet is something that I need to do in high jump that would make me jump higher. Like if I might tell people like, oh, I need to have fast feet. And they're gonna be like, what? Like run faster? Like, what does that mean? But it's like mentally, I know exactly what that cue means for me, that I need to, move my feet faster when I'm planting. And that could really help me get higher. So with me, I like to do not necessarily height goals, like not something so specific, but rather the things that will lead me to get there. And a sports psychologist, he told me, because I would psych myself out like no other. And that was, you can't be doing that in athletics. And I would be looking at a bar. There was a bar that used to be it was just like a mental block. Like all of a sudden I would hear that the bar was going up to that height. And I was like, oh my gosh, like now it's so much higher. Now I can't jump this, or I got to work really hard. It's going to be, and if you're telling yourself that, it's not going to go well, because you're already psyching yourself out before you can even attempt to jump over that bar. And so I met with this sports psychologist once, and he had told me, something that I still keep to this day. I think I only met with him like once, and it was focus on effort rather than results. And that is something that is so, it seems so simple, but yet I don't know, it just opened up all these different doors because I could really focus on the things I need to do to get there rather than me standing there about to jump saying, oh my gosh, I got to make it over this bar. I need to be focusing on, okay, I got to keep my speed up, or okay, I need to plant here. Focusing on the things that I need to do first to make it over that bar rather than just, I got to make it over this bar. Because then you just psych yourself out a little bit. So I think it's important with goal setting to focus on the path that you would use to get there, rather than just the end goal. Also think of how you're going to do it.
Okay, that is awesome, and excuse me, ties into so much of what I teach, and I love this. And people in my programs or that coach with me will that what you just talked about, they would have been like, oh yeah, I know exactly what she's talking about. But just for those that don't, I want to just add something in there. What she's talking about, very specifically what that sports psychologist was talking about, was a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset focuses on results. A growth mindset focuses on efforts. And it is such an important thing to understand. And what most people don't understand is where they lie on that continuum. Because in some things will have more of a fixed mindset than a growth, and sometimes we'll have more of a growth than a fixed. But as we can move more towards that growth mindset, we can improve our performance. And I love that that was just perfect. And in fact, I'm just going to throw it in there right now, because if you go to jeffheggie.com/mindset assessment, you can take a free mindset assessment, and it'll tell you where on that continuum you are of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and some of the things you can do to fix that. Because especially in athletics, this is such an important thing, where you are on that. And even my own story, I've coached basketball for 20 years. I coached my daughter from a very young age to her senior year. And before I started working more in this field, I thought I was doing everything properly as a coach, as a father, and everything. And I've sat down with her and said, you know what, look at these things we did as you grew up. I was instilling a fixed mindset on you, and you would have been a better athlete if we would have known these things, and I would have been a better coach. And so, yeah, I love that you've done that and how that's been such a benefit for you. So that's awesome. I just had to add in all that part for the listeners because it's so perfect. All right. So you're, from a college athletic perspective, you're competing at the highest level. So you're competing with the best of the best. How do you go into your meets, your competition, and have the confidence to do your best? How do you build your own confidence?
I think it's definitely important to not psych yourself out, because even going back to high school, I remember there was this meet. I was a freshman and this girl was a senior, and she was the previous state champ, but I didn't know any of this. I just came, and I'm not somebody that's like, that has a game face, it takes things really seriously. Rather, I'm a social butterfly. And so I'd rather become friends with the people I'm around, because it's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me feel more comfortable. It's going to make them feel more comfortable, if we're just friendly with each other. And it's been really awesome in the Big 12, because all the high jump girls, we have all become friends. Like, we're all friends on social media and everything. And so that's been really awesome. But my freshman year of high school, I was competing against the former state champ. She had won state the year before. And I remember we were measuring. So we measure, like with high jump, we measure out from the standard and then back however far you have to go. And we were standing there with our measuring tapes, like crouched down on the track. We were right next to each other. And I was just, clueless little freshman. It was like one of my, first meets still. And I was like, oh, how high? Like, like, what's your name or whatever. I was just becoming friends with her. And she's like, oh, I'm so and so. And she told me she was almost trying to intimidate me by what she was saying. But I was just like, okay, like, whatever, we don't really need to do that, but it's fine. And so I just became friends with her. And I was like, oh, like, how high do you jump? It was just like, just a high jump question. Looking back, I wouldn't ask that in college, but like, I don't know, whatever. High school me was like, oh, like, how high do you jump? Like, what's your PR? I just thought it was cool to like learn, a little bit more about the girls around me. She's like, oh, I jumped this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, what about you? And I told her what mine was. Mind you, I'm a freshman. So I jumped 5'4" my freshman year. And she's like, I jumped 5'6" my freshman year. I was like, oh, okay, like, cool. That's really awesome. Like, go you. And she was almost trying to intimidate me. Well, I didn't let that affect me. And I actually went on to beat her then at that meet. And so that was something that I almost learned from a young age as a freshman in high school. It's like, I can't let the people around me intimidate me just because they might be better, but I'm going to go, if I'm focusing so much on what they're doing, if I'm focusing on, oh my gosh, they just made it, I'm once again going to psych myself out. So kind of going back to how I can't focus on, I got to make this bar. Rather, I just got to focus on what I can do to hopefully make that bar. I think that's something that's definitely important to keep in mind at this level because these girls are the best of the best. They are fantastic jumpers, incredible athletes. And so it is tough sometimes. I know my freshman year of college going in, it was my first meet. And I was like, I have no idea what to expect. And the starting heights, like the first bar that's up at the meet, it's a lot higher than it was in high school. Everybody, I didn't really think this one through, but I was always used to, coming in high school, once most everybody was out. So it's like, there'd be like one more girl or like two more girls jumping. And then that's when I would come in like my starting height was kind of once people started falling out. And so I was so used to that. So I get to college in the Big 12. Well, it's not going to be like that anymore because all these girls that I'm competing against, they were the same way, if not even better than me in high school. And so I think it's definitely important to focus on yourself and how you can improve yourself rather than like freaking yourself out about your competition, because who knows, just like little freshman high school me, you could come out and beat them. So that's been something I've really had to focus on myself rather than the girls around me. And I'm also a social butterfly. So I'm cheering for them too. Like, even if they're beating me, I'm still cheering for them because I've become friends with them off the track. And so it's been nice too, to even just know your competitors. That's been something really awesome for me, is to just know all the girls I'm competing against, because it makes it it's just such a chill environment, and it makes it a little bit more comfortable for everybody there, rather than, because everybody is still human and everybody's still thinking like, oh my gosh, everybody's still going to be nervous and all the eyes are on you and everything. And so I think just knowing your competition and focusing on yourself and what you can do will make competitions, games, meets, tournaments, whatever, that much easier.
Awesome. I think just listening to you, it explains why you're in the major that you are as well.
Yeah, public relations is fun.
No, that's excellent. Now, one thing that I'd like you to talk about, I've talked to some and worked with some incredible athletes that have a mental block on what they're really capable of. For, they come from a small town, they come from a small school, those sort of things. You say you're from Kansas City, but reality is you're not. You're from somewhere much smaller. So how big was your school? And tell us a little bit about that and how someone from a small town can get there.
Yeah, so my town was, I think, like 7,000 people, so not big. I just say Kansas City to people because if I were to say Paola, Kansas, people would be like, what is that? And so, yeah, it's a small town south of Kansas City, 7,000 people. I think my graduating class was around 150. like 146, I think. And so not many people, everybody knew everything about everybody. And so it was just, a small town and not much going on. And so I think going out and finding resources is very, very helpful. Like rather than just sticking with your high school coach, I think it's important to go out and try to find, rather than just expecting like everything to happen, in your high school season. I think getting involved with club teams or getting involved with AAU, or for me, like USATF, is very, very helpful because you're going to be around other girls and guys competing against them, other coaches, and just learning a lot more rather than sticking in your small town. So if any of your athletes have like small towns that they're right outside of a big city, I think going to the city to try to find some more help and just getting a lot of different coaches' perspectives, because it's fun. Because I never officially joined a club, like a club team, just because I am from small town. There's not a track club in my small town. And I didn't even know about the AAU and USATF. Like I didn't know there was track outside of high school season, which honestly is kind of crazy looking back. But I didn't start that until my junior year, like doing like club track and going to meets unattached and going to all these like collegiate, but like high school meets, like high school meets at colleges and stuff. And I didn't even know that world existed. And so definitely going out and finding these different coaches, reaching out to them, just get, like a lesson, some kind of time with another coach, working with all these different coaches. It helped really ingrain these different things in my mind, because I know now, like some coach will have one cue for the same thing and another coach will have the same cue. So it kind of helps you to know what everybody's thinking, all the different, for me, the different high jump coaches, what they're trying to tell you. And it's fun to hear in all the different ways, because they all have different ways of communicating that to you. And so definitely learning the different communication styles, even between the different coaches. And so going out and finding different coaches and different people you can work with, different athletes to compete against, is definitely very, very helpful.
Awesome. Now, so one of the reasons I started the Confident Athlete program is because athletes, naturally, they have to be their best. They've got to put so much time, focus, and effort on the physical aspect of their game, but they neglect to put much into the mental game. And so that's a lot of the reason that I developed this program, is to help athletes with their mental game and their confidence and their mindset and whatnot. How is it at a high level team such as Baylor? Do you guys focus a lot on the mental game? Do your coaches focus on that? Do you have a team psychologist, those sort of things?
We do have a sports psychologist that we can go see at any time, which is awesome. But we mainly, I think it's just expected that each athlete, since you do have to work on your mental game, that it is important that you're going to want to take those steps for yourself. And it's kind of, putting it back on us, because we are adults and we are, about to be in the real world and full-time jobs and everything. I think it has been put on us a little bit, but we do have plenty of resources to reach out to. It's just like on us to reach out to them. But
right.
We absolutely have lots of resources, and all the coaches here too are so sweet and so kind and would take any time to meet with you. If you want to meet with your coach, like I could just text my coach right now and be like, hey coach, can I come meet with you? And she could help walk me through whatever I'm going through and help me, kind of overcome those mental blocks, because our coaches were all talented athletes themselves. And so they've been there, done that. They know exactly what we're going through. And so even our coaches are absolutely incredible resources when it comes to our mental game. And so I think even our teammates, we all like to, kind of just help each other out too. Like rather than letting somebody psych themselves up, we're going to hype them up. We're going to make them feel good, because we're all here for each other and we're all here for the exact same reason. And so we do have lots of resources we can reach out to, which is really awesome.
Awesome. No, that's great. One thing, and obviously just following the Olympics, it's even a bigger topic, but there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress on you guys. You've got your athletic expectations, you've got your school expectations, you've got your life. How is it that you at that level deal with stress, deal with the mental health aspect of things? How is that?
Absolutely. So I like to think my faith is also very important to me. I'm a Christian, grew up with a faith background, came to a Christian school. Still not really, I always thought of church kind of as a, like check it off the list in high school because I didn't really, I don't know. I came to college though, and I was able to make my faith my own. And so for me, putting my identity in Christ rather than in how high I jump has been so freeing, because it's like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a track meet, or it's a game, it's a meet, it's a tournament, it's whatever. And so I think stepping back, even from, not for anybody that's not a Christian, I think you can absolutely do this too. Just stepping back and looking at the big picture, I think will help alleviate a lot of your stress by saying, oh my gosh, like, it's a game. At the end of the day, it's a competition. And so of course you want to do good. And of course you want to still exceed. You still want to win and everything. But at the end of the day, when you are so stressed with everything, I think taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and just realizing, okay, like, here's what I got to do. And, for the bad performances, my freshman year, I had no-highted, which was beyond embarrassing. I never done that, which is the opening bar. You have all three attempts and you miss all three attempts. And I'd never done that. Like I said, in high school, I came in after girls were already getting out and would clear the bar. And it's like, I'm already in the top three just by one jump. And then I would keep going up. So it's typically, I would win most of the meets in high school. And so, I had never no-highted before. Like, I didn't even know that feeling. So my freshman year, we were at Texas Tech, and I no-highted. It was an indoor meet, and I no-highted. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so stupid. I feel so embarrassed. Like, I was so stressed out. I was like, people are watching me. People are realizing that I did not make a single high. I was beyond embarrassed. So I was like, I'm going to remove myself from the competition area. I went and cried in the bathroom for a little bit. And my mom noticed I was like upset. So she followed me in there and she's like, hey, it's going to be fine. And looking back, that was so honestly immature of me. I didn't cause a scene. I removed myself so nobody else knew, just my mom. Then I think my coach came in later on. But looking at that, I got so stressed out. And looking back now, it's like, that meet didn't even matter. Like, why did I put myself through so much stress and just so much sadness because of a track meet? And in the grand scheme of things, that's all it is just a track meet. And so I think taking a step back is always the thing to do. Making to-do lists with balancing athletics and academics, and then different student organizations outside of that, it does get extremely stressful, like you said. And so I like to make to-do lists. That's my go-to thing. I like to make to-do lists and write everything down on a calendar, and then, check things off whenever I complete them and whenever I get things done. And so making to-do lists, and then realizing too, if you're stressing yourself out about a bad competition, take a step back and realize it's just one bad day. In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. It's not going to matter in 5 years. It's all right.
That's awesome. Well, this has been great, and I'm excited to be able to share this with the athletes I'm working with. And I guess one last thing I want you to share with us. What are your PRs? I
jumped 5'8".
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Thank
That's
you.
really cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you spending the time with us and sharing all this information. It's going to be helpful for those that are listening.
Well, awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you setting this up.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome hearing from you.